Hello, mate.
How you going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, fantastic, mate. The Movember episodes, well, our first two are out at the moment, so they've done pretty well so far. So I'm loving the feedback we've been having from those.
Yeah, it's been good. It feels like we did that ages ago, though, because we did record them a while ago before releasing them.
It was a bit of a pre-record job that we did. So, no, it was good. It was good to get them out finally. I've sort of had them sitting on my laptop ready to go out to the public.
Good feedback as well. And the donations are flying in, so we're flying at the moment.
Absolutely.
Really
I don't know if you've noticed, there's been a little bit of a bidding war going on at the moment, which I thought was very...
before we recorded.
Which I thought was very funny. So I'll just quickly go into a bit of detail there. So I saw my mum donated $100 to the Movember cause, which is an amazing contribution, obviously. And then my dad jumped on and had a look, and he saw that mum donated 100, so he donated 101 just to one up her. So I'm hoping the bidding war continues and we can just keep growing some support from the Movember Foundation. But absolutely loving it. Our moustaches are growing quite nicely at the moment.
They are.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice
whether they look good or not is a different question.
Yours is way better than mine at the moment.
Well, I've had this since I was 12, so it's been a long time coming. But it's looking good. The cause is going to look in the great direction. So absolutely loving it. Yeah. But we're not done.
No, we're not done. So it's we're continuing the Movember theme, and I reckon this could be potentially our final episode of the year as well.
I think it is. I think
we're going to finish it off very well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a very special guest. So I think we may as well get into the intro music.
Let's
and we'll introduce the guest straight after that.
Sting us.
I did mention that we had a very special guest, and he's sitting here alongside me. The man, the myth, the legend. I'll let him introduce himself because I don't want to do any injustice to him. So, Yanni, welcome to the Pressure Point Podcast. You are our biggest fan. Why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners out there?
First off, thank you guys for having me. As you already pointed out, I'm Marcus and Quinn's biggest fans. I've basically listened to practically every episode in the past, I would say a year and a bit, since I've known Quinn. Quinn and I used to study together, and we've been friends ever since. And it's been a pleasure having to know you, and thanks for having me, boys.
Oh, absolute pleasure, mate. And we did go to uni together. We did do a bit of study there at Swinburne, and actually we did start the podcast after I knew Yanni because of the things that we learned in that course. So without the course, I probably wouldn't have had the knowledge to do the little edits and stuff that we're doing at the moment. So it's been a long time coming to have Yanni on this show because he has been a big fan ever since day one.
And he said it was a pleasure studying with you, which I find hard to believe.
Well, I brought good culture. The study side of it might not have been too impactful on my end, but. No, it was. It was great to work alongside each other. We actually had a really good group of people in our class, so a few good mates to take from that.
We've had a few of them on the podcast in the past.
We have.
Early days.
Yeah, so Yanni, you remember Will Guthrie? We've had Will on the podcast, or Glue as he's known to the Pressure Point people.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had Glue on, and so we've had a couple of the boys on, which has been good. So Jake the Snake came on. Yeah, I feel bad if I've missed anybody now, but I know we've had those two for sure.
They're the two that come to mind, I think. It was like early days.
Absolutely. Yeah. We may have had Max Donegan on, but I could be off with that one, but I can't remember 100%. It's been too long. So anyway, we're here about you, Yanni. So obviously you're very keen to join us, and we do want to talk a bit of footy and everything like that, but obviously it is our Movember themed episode. So we want to talk a little bit about you and your day-to-day and the things that you go through in life. So why don't we start with some of your daily routines? Obviously, your daily routines are going to look a little bit different to some other people. So why don't you talk us through what a day looks like for you?
Yeah, so I'll get straight into it. So, I've been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, or the cool kids say, CP. Shout out to Chris Paul, who's a bit of a legend. No disrespect, he's a great basketballer, but I've been diagnosed with CP. So basically it's just movement disorder. So basically I can walk short distances, but I need assistance in basically my everyday life. So in things like eating, taking showers, sleeping, just all the day-to-day things, dressing, it's quite a routine I have. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and there'd be obviously a few day-to-day challenges that Marcus and I wouldn't be experiencing like you would go through. I mean, for example, we organised you to come over today, and I just realised, I thought, oh, geez, we're going to get your chair through the door. I had to do the measurements, and it's just little things that you don't think about. Are there plenty of, how do you face these challenges now? Like, I'm sure you're used to them now, and it's sort of part of your day-to-day, but you get by most of the time?
Yeah, I do. I mean, first off, I can't stress this enough. I'm so grateful to my folks and my family. They've been an absolute my rocks. So it's hard to describe, I guess. Just the day-to-day challenges. I'll give you an example. So today, my parents work during the day, so I have to get up at, let's say, 6 a.m. As a hypothetical. And then I have to wait until my parents get up. And then once they get up, have their coffee, do their morning routine. They come and get me up and get dressed and eat and drink. So, I've always had this inkling that what life would be like if I didn't have to do those things. But at the same time, I wouldn't change, the way I am. I love being who I am, and, I wouldn't change it. So, yeah, it has its challenges, and I've had some mental issues pretty much through all my years. So, it's been, I have a really good support network, so, yeah, just thank you for them. And, thank you for making my life what it is today. So, yeah.
Love that, mate. Love that. It's got a great attitude towards it, which is fantastic. And yeah, definitely sounds like you've got a good support network there, which is important in everyone's life, really. So it's great to hear, and great to hear that you've accepted it and you've got a great attitude towards it. I think that's the way to go.
I think a lot of people need to probably take some notes from that as well, and just sort of learn to appreciate, life as it is, I guess, because a lot of people do complain a lot, and some people, it's warranted a lot, I guess, but I think we do have to look at, sort of the good things in our lives and start to appreciate them a little bit more. Yanni, you've mentioned to me multiple times, and without tooting your horn a little bit, you've been on radio a few times, and you did the sports media course with me, so you're obviously looking in that direction, but talk me through some of your career and your aspirations that you're sort of looking for going forward, because I know that we've done a little bit together now, but what are your sort of aspirations going forward?
I'd love to get into the media, and that's why I thought to myself that the Swinburne course would be, a stepping stone to sort of learning about the media and how it operates, and things we could get, like experience, and I was able to meet you and all the boys, and it's just, although COVID sort of ruined it for us, I had a fantastic, time there, and I spent another year there while you guys finished up, so it was a little bit different, also starting with a new group, and new things, and I felt like the old statesman, the old timer sort of thing. I just feel like, it was about time for me to move on and start my career. And, using this platform as well, just to talk about my challenges is a great stepping stone. So,
That's fantastic, mate. Quinn mentioned you're on radio. Tell us about those experiences.
Yeah.
I think you're the famous one here.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm famous, but I did do the sports show on SYN Radio, which is a student youth network. It's pretty popular, it's pretty big. It's on national radio. I don't know if you boys have tuned into that over the years, probably not. But yeah, I did the sports show, and basically we did what you guys do on the Pressure Point podcast. Just talk about different sports and the weekly results and the big news stories. I just love sport, so I use sport as an escape from all my challenges, although it's sometimes adds more stress. But I love sport and I love going to different sporting events, so I just love sport, and it's a good way to meet new people as well.
Absolutely. And you did mention that obviously some of your challenges can make seeing sport a little bit difficult, but you also use it as an escape from some of your challenges you go through. But I do remember a good quote from you that I still to this day love very much. And we went to the basketball together, the NBL, and it was John Cain Arena. And I remember you said to me, "I've got tickets, don't worry about it." And you go, "I'm in a wheelchair, we've got the best seats in the house." You're absolutely lapping it up and taking the opportunities. And I've seen you at the Manchester United games overseas in the UK. So you're a massive, massive sports fan. What would you say, it might be a tough question, or maybe it's not, what would you say would be your favourite sport?
I mean, we live in Australia, so it's hard not to go past this, but I love the footy. The footy is my number one.
I was going to say, for those who haven't seen the cap on his head as well, he's a big Richmond supporter, which we love. We love over here. So no surprises there. So Yanni and I have talked many times about the Tigers and whether we're going well or whether we're going pretty poorly. And what were your thoughts on the Tigers season this year?
Look, I was pretty proud of the boys just to make the finals. It would be nice to squeeze into the top four, but I was just happy to. It wasn't our best year. I mean, our best years were, before that. But, looking forward to the new season and our new recruits, and the sky's the limit. Hopefully, we can be up there.
Oh, absolutely. More importantly, because I can see Marcus wants to ask, what were your thoughts on Carlton's season this year?
Well, we did speak about this before, and I did question Vossi there. I thought the Blues had a fantastic season. Just unfortunately missed out on the finals, which brought Marcus a bit of heartache. But I thought overall, as an outsider from the Carlton circle, I think you should be proud of your season, considering where you guys have been in recent years.
Absolutely. I think that's the nicest thing a Richmond supporter said about Carlton, which is quite refreshing.
Yanni is a realist and he knows his stuff, so it's definitely a word you can rely on as well. Yeah. He's not he doesn't lie about what he sees.
No, I love it. I was going to ask, actually, back to Richmond, which one of the 3 premierships was your favourite?
I think that's a tough question. I think 2017.
Yeah.
Because no one really knew what was going to happen. Just at the beginning of the year, since we had a bad season in 2016, I was sort of, dreading that season. So I went to the opening game against the Blues, as I normally do, as pretty much a Richmond and Carlton fan does. And I didn't really expect much, but as we went through the season, you sort of thought, hang on a minute, we might be onto something. So, 2017 has to be my favourite for sure.
They all say that, don't they?
Well, the first, it's hard to look past the first one. I mean, they've all got their special reasons, obviously. For me, I agree. For me, it's 2017 because it was the first and we had no idea. But then 19, it was such a blowout that you it was fun to watch, not for a neutral fan, but for us, it was just fun to be a part of. And then 2020, the COVID year, we didn't know what was going to happen with footy. It was all over the place, and then we came out on top. So, a couple of brilliant flags there, but you'll get there one day, Marcus. You'll know what we're talking about. We'll divert from the flags because we're going to upset Marcus, Yanni. We don't need to do that. We'll talk about them off there.
Absolutely.
We'll get them off there. But I wanted to talk to you a bit more about yourself because you've mentioned that you've sent us some notes and stuff like that you wanted to run through, and I want to talk about some of the things that you had in mind. And you did mention that as part of having CP, as the cool kids do like to call it, you attend therapy sessions and working out to maintain your condition and things like that. What are some of the things that you do at the moment in terms of some of the therapy or the working out that you might get up to?
So in regards to therapy, it's not too... first off, the condition I have, CP, is not life-threatening, but it can get worse over time. So if I don't keep mobile and fit and healthy and watch, I eat a normal diet, so that's no problem. I eat everything, so as most Europeans do.
We can relate to that.
Yeah, so, if I don't work out, then you'll notice a significant change in not just the way I am, but my mentality. So basically I have an occupational therapy session, so that's just working on, hand stuff and motor skills, and then physio would be, working on my walking, as people take for granted, walking up and down stuff, a treadmill, bike, so it's quite strenuous and, it's hard work, but you got to put a positive spin on it. So, I enjoy it. Some days I don't, some days I do, but yeah, things you got to do, I suppose.
Absolutely, and I think it's a testament to the person that you are that you even when you don't want to do it, you still go through with it and still do, because it's it's what you need to get through. And you did mention, some days you enjoy it, some days you don't, and I guess it's probably a little bit just in life in general, therapy and all that aside. Some days you do have your good days, and sometimes you do have shitty days, and it's sort of about how you battle through the shitty days, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has bad days and good days, but mine seem to be, more out there. So you will notice if I'm having a bad day, like my mood or my mobility isn't up to scratch, or I'm not that positive. Yeah, so you'll definitely notice that, being having a bad day. But, I'm very positive and, I just love to have a good laugh and, that's what I'm here for.
I love that. Such a good attitude. It's very inspiring, that's for sure.
It makes me feel like, bit of a piece of shit sometimes, because I complain a lot. I'm a bit of a sook, but I do want to touch on this, and a lot of people probably over the conversation right now, but I feel like for you it would have been a very different experience. But what was it like going through the COVID years, obviously 2020, 2021 to an extent as well? What was different for you about the COVID years? I mean, obviously you have your support workers around you. Did that minimise the numbers and that was happening? What were the effects that you felt throughout the COVID years?
Yeah, COVID was a stressful time, not only for everyone, but for me in particular, because I had to rely on, my folks, and it took a toll on them. And, although I'm very grateful, I can sometimes act out and lash out, and they can also do that as well. So I took, it took a lot out of me, and of course I had my support workers, but that was a bit of a challenge because finding support workers is an absolute nightmare sometimes. It is. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, of course, but it's a challenge in itself. And also having that, I think you have to be very open to be that sort of to be a support worker, and you've got to sort of have that level of trust. And I've had some ups and downs with support workers, and I'm a very open guy, so I say what I feel, and sometimes people can see it the wrong way. So it's just the challenge of different people and their personalities, and trying to combat that is hard. And getting to trust people is a big thing. Like, it's massive. Like, you've got to have a certain level of trust. I mean, you've got to quote that great movie, Meet the Fockers, the Circle of Trust. So that,
Absolutely.
that, intensifies when you're a person in my position, in my condition. So, it's hard. It's hard. And I've had some ups and downs with support workers, but most of the time I've had great relationships with, support workers. So, and they're still my friends to this day. So I can't thank them enough. And, yeah.
No, I love that. It's so good. I was gonna mention, touching on sport, Dylan Alcott's obviously a massive figure in sport, and what he does for the people with disabilities and everything. How much of an idol is he to you? Or not?
That's
Doesn't
a
have to be.
difficult question, because at the beginning of Dylan Alcott's rise, he was an idol to me. Like, for someone to play elite level sport and then sort of advocate for people with disabilities was just, it was quite, eye-opening. Like, holy shit, like, this guy's working for us. Like, he's looking out for me. But I've noticed over the past sort of year or two, he's became more famous, and I think fame can sort of get to your head. So I sort of tend to second guess what he's actually, what his intentions are. I have met him once. He was really nice, but at the same time, it's hard to not, second guess, is he actually doing it for the right reasons? So I'm not sure at this point, but he's certainly one for, people with disabilities, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's the thing as well. I mean, it's hard to judge, and you do notice that with people as they sort of rise, to greater heights of stardom, that you tend to notice that they do change a little bit, and they might not be as down to earth as they once were. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know him, obviously, but I can see, I can definitely see why that would be questioned, because it obviously it gets to that sort of point. I mentioned before that you went to the UK and you did watch some of the Man U games, and I know you love to travel. You went to Greece and did a few cool things like that. You're making us very jealous over here in our Melbourne winter. What other aspirations do you have to travel? Because I know you love Europe. I know that. But is Europe back on the cards again, or where would you like to go next? And is it to see sport, or would you just see sport as part of the trip? What are your thoughts?
Well, as you probably may know, the FIFA World Cup is coming up very soon. So my goal, hopefully in the next World Cup or two, is to head over and catch a game. That would be my ideal. I love travelling, as you already pointed out. I recently went to Greece and over to the UK. I've got some family down in Greece, so it was good to, catch up with them, because we haven't seen each other in about 3 or 4 years since COVID. So it was good to catch up, and, I thought it might be a good opportunity to head over to the UK and go watch some EPL. at a decent time. As you know, here in Australia, the times are a nightmare to get up and watch. I do try and watch the Red Devils in as much as I can, but yeah, it's a bit hard these days. But I was very grateful, and I went over to see them play Southampton. So the Saints. So any St Kilda fans out there, you would probably know who the Southampton Saints are. So yeah, I was just very grateful, and the atmosphere is it's just another level. I mean, we speak of the AFL attendance and the big crowds, but they do it week in, week out, and they will die for their team. They will literally die for their team, so they take it to a whole nother level, and it's just very eye-opening. And I love traveling, and that's what I do best.
Love it, and I completely agree with the EPL. They would die for their team over there. It's hard to explain what the atmosphere is like there until you've actually experienced it. So it's pretty wild, isn't it?
Even before the game, at the pubs, they just act like absolute tools. But I just love it.
Yeah.
You don't see that. You do see it at the footy, but it's dialed down for sure.
It's completely different over here. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because you boys know better than me, but don't they section off fans at those games so you can't sit next to an opposition fan?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
yes.
See, that to me, that blows my mind, because obviously here, especially with me, I sit in AFL member section, so I know that I'm surrounded by I'm not even in a Richmond member specific area, so I'm surrounded by everybody, and that's what I'm used to. So thinking about that is wild to me. Sounds crazy good, but yeah.
Yeah, so Quinn and Marcus, just to get some more information on that. So basically, you're in a separate section with your fans, just your team's fans. So just imagine that you're there and the whole section is by your side. So just having that camaraderie, I suppose, and that sort of like togetherness is something you don't see here. So, which I kind of like. I like being spread out into different fans, but I also like being on the same side, and sort of you can talk to them outside the game or pre-game. You can sort of talk stats and this and that. So it's definitely good.
No, absolutely it is. I mean, I guess it'd probably be a little bit like the 2017 prelim against the Giants when it was just Richmond supporters there, 99,000 Richmond supporters in the game. So it'd be similar to that, I'd imagine.
It was like that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Talk just a little bit about your family. I know obviously you have a ridiculous love for sport. It's next level. I don't know many people that love it as much as you do. Is your family also like massive sport followers? I know I met your old man at the footy one game, but I don't know too much about them. Where's this passion for sport come from? Is it from your family?
It's kind of out of nowhere, boys. I just, when I was young, obviously we all had dreams of, playing AFL and playing elite level. And I know you guys play a local level, so you guys sort of had that dream as well, I'm guessing. So, I sort of quickly realised, well, hang on, I'm not going to really play AFL, am I? So, I thought to myself, why not study every inch of the sport and try to learn all the stats and all the players and sort of get to work in the media, and that's what I sort of learned. I didn't have any influence, although my family are big Richmond fans because my father grew up in Richmond. So, I had no choice. Even if I wanted to pick a team, it was virtually impossible. So you're Richmond or you're out of the house, pretty much, as you well know how, fans can take the footy, but I just sort of did it myself. So I sort of looked up online. I just watched every single game I could and just learned the different sports and the different stats. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the football. It can be, for example, we were talking off air about the tennis coming up and the EPL. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, the AFL. It just can be any sport. And I feel like it's a great icebreaker to get to know people and sort of have, create friendships, I guess. And sort of escape from, these types of things. So yeah, I would have loved to play AFL like everybody else, but my knowledge of sport is, don't want to turn my horn, but it's pretty up there with the best. So just wanted to showcase my my abilities in a different sort of way.
Well, absolutely. And that's why I think that if you do continue the sports media sort of path, you'll be able to do well, because like the knowledge that you have is ridiculous. I mean, the amount of things you taught me while at uni together about things about Richmond I had no idea about. And I thought, how did I not know this already? But he teaches me, he's taught me a lot of things over the last couple of years. So I absolutely love that. And I agree with you completely. And you're allowed to toot your own horn once in a while, Yanni, so don't worry about that, mate. You can do that as much as you like. Obviously, this is a Movember dedicated episode, so we'll touch on the Movember cause a little bit in itself. And I know you're a fan of it. You're a fan of the Movember cause and sort of what it stands for and that sort of stuff, I presume.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter in men's mental health and sticking for me, because I think in these circumstances you need to talk about these things, and whether it's disability or someone's going through their life, just reach out. And it doesn't have to be like a lengthy conversation. You can just say, hey, I'm here for you, or hey, do you want to hang out for a couple of hours and go to different sporting events, or just take time out of your day to put a smile on a person's face. And that's what I try to do, and that's I try and live the best life I possibly can. Yes, it has its challenges, and yes, it's difficult, but like I said before, I wouldn't change it. And it's a great cause, and you should get donating to the boys' page, and speak out if you're having trouble. Absolutely. That's what I would say.
Well said.
Well, if that's not a big advocation to donate to the page, I don't know what is.
Exactly right. So, no, very well said, Yanni. That was super. And it's exactly what we try to preach here, and what we've been doing with our episodes as well, is to get the message out there and getting more men to speak up and not be afraid to, and for everyone to get around each other. So it's what we're here for, and that's how life should be. Absolutely.
And I think one thing I want to mention as well, that we didn't actually speak about it in either of our episodes, and I think it's one thing that Yanni's just pointed out, which makes me feel a little bit selfish now. And obviously our episodes, as you would know, Yanni, we sort of delved into the things that we were sort of going through, et cetera, and talked about ways that we were dealing with them and all this sort of stuff. I think like one thing you said that really stood out for me just then was that your goal every day is to also try and put a smile on somebody else's face as well. And I think that that's contagious. So I feel like, I know it's not always about making everybody else happy, but if you can, put a smile on somebody else's face, it'll make you feel that much better about yourself. And I know it always does to me. Like, I know if I've known that I've sort of made someone's day for whatever reason, it's rare, but sometimes I do. But when I do, I feel so much better about myself that day. And then it's easier to sort of look at yourself in a better light as well. So we didn't touch on it, but I love the fact that you pointed that out there, Yanni, because I think that's a massive movement to also make some people happy with themselves, but also sort of self-improve yourself.
Yeah, I think it improves not only your self-esteem, but it improves other people's. And, I don't have the abilities that, everyday people have, but, you've got to embrace it, and that's what I try to do.
You do a beautiful job of it, mate. And just before we wrap up, it is a football podcast, so we'll dive away from the Movember stuff. Just a quick second before we wrap up. It is a football podcast. I know it's putting you on the spot a little bit here. I didn't warn you with this one, but I know you've got the thoughts in the back of your head. I want a couple of season predictions for you. So who do you think next year is a flag? Is going to be the flag favourite? Who do you think is going to win the flag next year?
Oh, tough question.
I know Richmond's your first.
There's so many, I don't really want to offend anyone because, it's a difficult prediction to have. But I see, of course, I would love the Tigers to be up there, but I see maybe the Blues up there as well. I see, just from motivation about what happened this past year and not making the finals. Sorry to Marcus.
It's a third time tonight already.
I just think it'll be a big motivation and such a big fan base as well. There's a lot of pressure, so I understand being a Richmond supporter with so many Greek fans and Richmond supporters everywhere, and there's big expectations. But I see, the Victorian teams, especially with their big fan bases, making a big push towards September.
I hope you're right.
Sure.
I hope you're right, Yanni. Just the thought of Carlton even being close to a flag gets me very, very excited. A little bit emotional, to be honest. So if we actually get there, I don't know how I'd react, to be honest.
I think you would cry heavily.
Oh, heavily, that's confirmed. But, geez, there'd be a lot of emotions, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Yanni and I can tell you what those feel like because we've been through there a couple of times. Isn't that right, Yanni?
Do you want some tips for grand final?
We'll write a book for you.
I'm not going to say yes because that's going to jinx it, but if it happens, yes, I'll be
final
asking you.
As well?
Yeah.
The grand final parade?
Yep, absolutely.
You go the parade, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Let's
calm it down because it's not happening. We're in November of 2022, so let's
season's not even close to starting.
No.
You've got lots of sporting events coming up, and with the FIFA World Cup and the Australian Open, which I love. Probably tennis is my second favourite sport.
It's a big. It's always a big summer. It's good. You get a good break from footy, but you've got the World Cup's usually in the middle of the year, so it's different this year. The Aussie Open's always good fun. The cricket's always good, so there's always a lot happening over summer.
Yeah, so hopefully I can get down to a few sporting events in the future, maybe with some of you boys.
Absolutely. Well, no doubt, Yanni, you'll be down at those events as well because you always do. You're always at every sporting event, I feel, whether one way or another. I've seen you on telly a couple of times or from the flicks that you've sent me, the screenshots of you on TV. So you find your way in front of the big screen one way or another, don't you?
I'm a bit everywhere, I know.
Love it.
Absolutely. Well, Yanni, we've had an absolutely amazing chat, mate. We've gone through everything we wanted to chat to you about. It's been absolutely superb. We went through a bit of footy, went through some of the struggles that you're going through, and it's been very eye-opening, I'm sure, for not only ourselves but all the listeners as well. So, thanks again, man. I know it was a bit of a trek to get down here, and it's not as easy as it might be for some. So, I appreciate you coming all the way down to the studio today and jumping on for us. And let me just point out, this is correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus, but Yanni's our first in-person guest.
Yes, absolutely he is. Yeah.
So this is
huge.
Big. This is big. You were the first person we've ever had in the studio, Yanni. It's always been over Zoom. So thank you for coming down and joining us, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and thanks for having me on. And hopefully, when the footy starts, you guys will see me on here to discuss more about the footy, because ultimately these Movember episodes are great, but ultimately you guys are doing a footy podcast, so hopefully I can be on during the season.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. We will, definitely.
And just before we wrap up, Marcus, you did mention that this is likely going to be our final episode for the year. So
I'd say so, yeah.
and if that is the case, I'd say it's going to be. Well, obviously, a massive thank you to everybody who's listened throughout the year. Yanni, I know you've been the number one fan, so we can't thank you enough. But everybody else that's listened throughout the year, given feedback, commented on the posts, shared with friends, it's grown heaps, and it's been massive for the both of us, and we've really appreciated all the support. Thanks to as well our sponsor, Gavos Freight Solutions, for jumping on again. That's been incredible having them jump on board with us once more. And we mentioned, I spoiled it a little bit in the last episode, but we do have some big things coming still before the end of the year, not episode related as such, but some big things coming. So look forward to those.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that cat might be out of the bag by the time this episode comes out. Who knows?
Well,
so we'll
hopefully, because it means the ball's rolling in the right direction. So hopefully we release this episode and I've got a bit of egg on my face because everybody already knows. But if not, it's going to be very shortly. So look forward to that. But I think that pretty much is us done for 2023.
That is it. No, and what a way to finish off. So Yanni, again, thank you very much, mate. Very inspiring, and really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys. And just to point out, it is 2022.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Quinn,
Yeah.
come on.
I'm editing that out. I'm editing this last little bit out. No one's going to know.
Yes, it's still in 2022, guys. So
I got excited.
2023 is a month away.
Yes.
All right, well, hopefully I can, by the end of 2023, I can get the year right. So that's my aim for next season. That's my New Year's resolution. So thank you very much again to everybody that's listened throughout the season. And I guess we'll see you next year.
Yes, see you next year.